This is wifey's Jetta again. City, 2008 City with a 2-liter gas. And if you look at the end of this stick right there, right in front of the stick, let's see if I can zoom in there now. That is the power steering line. And you can see that right there in front of that stick, or right there and right there under that clamp, is where they always rot out and it's leaking. This is actually the return line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually it zooms in better, get a better view of that right there. You can see where it's all swollen and rusty. So what I'm going to do is take that stick up out of there. Here's your power steering reservoir. I'm not sure if we're going to use this hose or not. My plan is actually to use this hose here. A little bit more durable, a little higher temp, but I'm not sure it's going to be small enough diameter, but we'll find that out in a minute. But anyway, so this is your power steering res, and I'm low. And the reason I'm low is because I topped up the other day. There's a slow leak. So right here is where the line comes in. There's a clamp has already moved back. I had it pulled off. And so the fluid comes out here, goes down to the power steering pump, which is down right there at the end of my finger, just underneath the air compressor, or the AC compressor. And that line goes down along the rack and pinion, okay, in the frame, and kind of over here to the driver's side. And I've put in this lower control arm here this morning, and I had these out and I had to take them back out again. I took out the bolts for the back here and the back here, right in here for the subframe, so because it drops a couple of inches, or an inch rather, so I can get at that top bolt there. The one right, let me see if I can get my finger up there, see, right above my finger, not the one that I got covered, but the one right above it. So that's the return line. The bottom one is the high pressure line that's coming from the pump. And it goes in, turns the rack, where it comes out, that top one goes back over into the res, so it's low pressure. Okay, so that line coming across the bottom of the car is steel. Why it's not stainless steel is because some engineer somewhere is an asshole. And Volkswagen is cheap. So again, if you look right here, I think I might be able to zoom in on it. Right there, that's the line right above my finger, way down there. You can see another rust spot. And right along where that line goes on the rack across the car, here I'm in Eastern Canada, the brine and the salt in the wintertime rust the hell out of them, and they break and they leak. Now, I mean, this car doesn't have much mileage on it. This got 170,000 kilometers, about 100,000 miles. It's a 2008, which is not too bad. I mean, I can put on 75,000 a year on that thing over there, and close to half that on my truck, and 225,000 on my dump truck. So wifey doesn't drive a lot. And so what we're going to do, that line is anywhere from $125 plus tax and shipping to $350, $375. Like, it's ridiculous. And I'm just not going to spend that on this car. So it's a low pressure return line, and I've done this before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove it here, pull this off. Then I'm going to undo that top bolt, which is a banjo bolt, and you'll see that after I pull it off. I'll show you that. I'm not going to film taking this out because I'm by myself and I can't. But I'll show you it after it comes out. Then I'm going to replace it either with this line, preferably, or that line. It doesn't really matter which line. These are both fuel lines, both fuel grade. This one's a tougher line, but they're both rated fuel. This one will probably last longer. But what I'm going to do is cut the steel line off where it's good on that side, and remove it all the way from over to here. Put this in. I'm going to tie wrap this, tie wrap it in along the And these lines go underneath the flex pipe for the exhaust. So there's a bit of a hot spot there. Now, I've put in a few of these in the past, and I've never had the thing get hot enough to melt one of these lines. But that's why there's a steel line there, I assume. So you can shield it, and if I can't run this where I want, I'm probably going to shield it. I'll just put a piece of aluminum over it, or a piece of maybe even that bubbly can right underneath the flex pipe, and just tie wrap it around, tie wrap it so it doesn't rattle. But I haven't had much issue with that, because generally you can run these. They're a little bit longer. The line that is for the car has to go in the way that it's steel. It's not flexible. You can't run it where you want. This return line, you can, if it's long enough, you can run it out of the way so that it's away from the flex pipe, and you use judgment for that. If you're not sure, probably should be getting somebody else to do the job anyway. So anyway, this is already disconnected. I've got to remove one bolt down here. I probably don't have to remove it because the line's probably going to break anyway. So I'm going to undo it from the power steering over here, which is a 19 mil, I believe. I'll confirm that. I think it's a 19 mil with a flex socket. So you got to drop the frame, the subframe a little bit, and go in here with a flex socket wobble and take it out. It's a banjo bolt. And so I'll pop that off and I'll show you when I get it out. A 3/8 drive, 19 mil impact, because I would use the chrome, but that was the fastest 6-point I could find. Pretty long extension. I think that one's 18 inches. And a 3/8 drive ratchet. And you put it in and set it up so that you pry this way, so you can pry against the wheel. I find is the best way to crack them. They're not that tight, but they're a little tight. And those banjo bolts look look exactly like this. So there's a washer. This goes on like this, and then this washer, crush washer, goes on this side. So this goes through the banjo with the washer on here. Put the other washer on, and you screw it into the housing. So I'll pull out the rest of it, and then we'll show you where we're at. Off the nut right here that holds. No, the bracket's off there right now, but the bracket was right here because I couldn't pull this section out here. This piece here, I just disconnected it from the reservoir. I barely twisted. I pulled it off, and you can see how rotten they get. Let's see if I can focus on that. There we go. And keeps wanting to focus on the ground. Maybe I should put it on the ground. Anyway, you can see how rotten it gets, and how I'm keeping that in, and how thin it gets. You know, it was super thin. So, and it was starting to bubble along here, and this is the part here that's right underneath the flex pipe. But what happens is this is a plastic coating on here. So this is not getting that hot. It's just hot enough that this here deteriorates over 15 years. And, you know, this end up here that's up protected behind the engine looks almost brand new. Really, this is just a bit of grease on it. That's not rust. So I'm just going to try not to get grease on my camera. I'm going to cut this off here, put over the hose, a couple of clamps, and I'm going to leave it a little long. I'm going to replace basically and I mean, you know, if somebody's going to tell you, say, listen, okay, this is not the right way to repair this car. Well, technically, they're right. Okay. I don't care, because this car is not worth $125 repair to me. I mean, this is a 2008 winter beater that we paid $1,500 for, and I'm lucky I'm using a piece of hose on it. So, I mean, if you're worried about OEM specs and this and that, and doing it exactly right, then this is not the exact way to do it. Take it out as per how I showed you. You know, it's very simple to remove. And then just, you know, buy the new one and put it back in reverse order. But if you're cheap, and the car is not worth a lot of money, but you want to repair it, you want to use it until the inspection wears out and it falls into the ground, then this is a good way to do it. And that's what I'm doing. So you don't have to call and tell me this is not exactly the right way to do it. So we're going to route the hose away from the flex pipe, where the exhaust, where it gets, it's a little hot there because it's coming right out of the manifold. And I mean, now it's not that hot there. I mean, you're not frying eggs or nothing, but we'll protect it. And if I'm that concerned, I'll take a piece of metal from an aluminum can or something, and I'll put over it, and I'll tie wrap it in place, and I'll give it a little bit extra protection. But I don't even think I'm going to have to do that, because I'll just run it a couple inches away further than what this one was run. And I don't have to worry about I'm not going to put it down so it's dangling in the road, but I mean, this pipe is actually susceptible to debris hitting it and chipping it, and it rusts. The rubber hose is not. Now the rubber hose is susceptible to heat and being dragged. So like, and I'm not going to clamp the rubber hose in the same place this one was clamped. So, there's, but you use some discretion there. Like, just go a little bit away from your pipe. I mean, this is a low pressure line. This is just a return line. There's no pressure here. I mean, I doubt there's a pound. I don't know what the exact specs are, but it's just open flow back to the tank. So this is not a high pressure line. Now you cannot do this same repair on the other line. It's going to blow off. So this is the return line. So anyway, we're just going to cut it off here, make a nice clean end, blow it out, make sure that there's no metal shards or anything inside of it, because we don't want to put dirt back in our system. This Volkswagen pump in particular does not like dirt. So if something fails in the system, like in your rack and pinion, and dirt goes up through the pump, you're changing everything. We've had that happen too. And you can see here, like, this was going to fail here as well. So, it probably would have blown up. Well, it probably wouldn't blow up here, because again, this is a very low pressure line, but it was, this is salt here in Eastern Canada. So we're going to cut it off here, put lots of line on, bolt this end back on with the banjo bolt, run the line out of the way, back up to the tank, top it back up. Bob's your uncle. Just use some common sense when it comes to the running a rubber line too close to the flex line, and don't run it down where it's going to hit the ground. Basically, here's what's happened. I cut off the line, as you can see. Hopefully it's focusing in on that properly. Hold on, let me try that again. And I got a couple of spring clamps. It's pushed down about 1.5 inches. 2 spring clamps. It's on there real. I don't even think it would come off because of how hard it was to push the hose in over it. Honestly, I'm not sure the size of the hose, but I believe it's 3/8. And this is a metric line, so I primed it, let the primer dry. The paint's not dry yet, but I'm not waiting. This has got to go back in. It'll have to dry on there. That's what took a little bit of time, so I put some primer on it, let it dry, and then I went on to something else. Forgot about this. So I'm just going to put this in. Here's the rest of the line. I'm going to run that back up like I was saying earlier, and this will go down on the steering box as per normal, and it'll come up and it'll go back into that spigot right there. So if you're going to manufacture one of these, I'll show you how I put it in there after. But if you're going to manufacture one of these, like I say, just keep away from the exhaust, and everything else should be fine. This is a low pressure line. There it is there. And there. There's a new line. And this thing, there we go. Right there. I used the old clamp there. I used a couple of new clamps down on the other end, as you saw in the picture. I've got it routed down around the side and over the torsion bar, away from the, and over. It's not a very complicated routing. And that's it. I mean, I'm going to fill it back up here now and fire it up. I know it's going to work. I've done this on my son's Golf. I did it on 3 Jettas that I've owned. This is wifey's Jettas, and I've done it on about 5 or 6 other Volkswagens for friends in the past, and I've done it on a couple of other cars. So I know it works. And if you're going to have trouble with that hose for any reason later on, you'll notice the dripping, I guess, and change it. It's very simple to change now that it's been changed over to a hose from the steel line, because at the other end you don't even have to remove it anymore from the. You can just remove the clamps, pull the hose off, and just change the hose. So yeah, so that's it. So Volkswagen low pressure side power steering hose repair, And these come in handy. Link in the description on Amazon. I don't get paid a cent for this. These are just a handy tool if you're working on cars that use a lot of these, or if you need them for anything else. This is a great purchase that I've been very happy with. I bought 2 or 3 bags of them. I've been using them for years, and they saved my ass quite a bit. So there's a few more on this need to be changed too. You can see how bad they are. I'm not going to bother with this one right now, but I do change them routinely if I see that they're bad. So anyway, that's all there is to that. I hope you find that helpful, that gets you out of a bind. Cheers. Please like and subscribe. Have a great day.